It's been on like my notepad for a while to kind of write a rant on kind of ethics in marketing, and especially because of the hypocrisy that's in the SEO space. So what I mean by that is that as marketers in this country, I don't want to talk about other countries because everyone has their own thing going on, but we are a consumerist country. We just consume. And so much of everything that we sell, regardless of putting a mission on top of it, at the end of the day, pretty much a large majority of every business is selling people stuff that they don't need. Literally what it comes down to. And that's what a marketer's job is to figure out the psychological cues, the campaigns, the messaging to sell people more shit that they don't need. That to me in itself, like I don't have that big of an issue with it, right? It's capitalism. It's the society that we've created. We've been normalized to it, capitalists through and through. But I always look at the SEO industry where people get so mad, where people get so triggered over things like link building, over things like just like little things like that, where they call them almost like unethical. And it's like, hold up, dude, you're trying to rank a website about boner pills. You're trying to rank a website about a little plastic toy that like is killing the planet, or like fast fashion, or all these different apparel lines that are just killing the planet.
But you're above buying links.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So like I think there's a huge conversation. This just ties into the political thing about the ethics in marketing, instead of being like, hey, maybe we shouldn't throw stones at each other's tactics as being unethical, and look at the practice of marketing as being unethical. What are we really trying to promote here? You can make the argument for so many different things, right? We're selling stuff. We're trying to game stuff. We're trying to trick stuff, people, algorithms, everything into buying shit that they do not need, period. So much of what we sell, right? And of course, there's a whole spectrum of products that are doing good and all that stuff. But even that still, even if you're a product that has a mission, you still probably don't need a 50th pair of shoes, Toms. You know what I'm saying? We still probably don't need that, right? That's kind of where I was going with that, is I think that there's a much larger conversation in the coming years about the ethics of marketing. And it's so funny too, because we look at these marketers we look at as like at the top, but they're talking about, and I know we've spoken about this before too, cognitive biases, right? Things like that. Like there's certain things that we as marketers deploy, and I do it every day. I'm not a saint, so I'm throwing stones at myself here too, but cognitive biases, where we know how humans think and we know how they're programmed, just evolutionary, right? From the time that we were cavemen to the time that we are now, there's certain things that like have kept us alive that we play on as marketers, that whether you know it or not, and we exploit those things very aggressively to sell people stuff, right? To get money out of their pockets. And I just think that we look at things and we see like these marketers on stages that we like button up and polish, like, man, like that guy's so great. And it's like, yeah, what he's talking about is actually garbage. We shouldn't be using psychology to sell people. But that's just, I don't know. The point I'm making is that there's just a much larger conversation about taking what we're doing and applying that to something that does have true value, right? Like a local politician who's trying to get guns out of our schools, right? A local
right, or like clean water, or things where
exactly.
It's like, these are human rights, like things that we should consider.
Exactly. So I just think that in terms of anyone listening to this, I'll get off my soapbox for a minute. I do think that there's going to be a huge movement towards good, clean marketing with good, clean brands, nonprofits, whatever that may be. There was actually somebody in our program for a couple of years who works specifically with, he calls it like good marketing, and it's only works with brands that align with their vision of what they think that our marketing superpowers are good for. I don't know. There's just a little soapbox rant about ethics in marketing and the contradiction that I see when people are bickering about stuff, but you're bickering about like tactics. You're bickering about, first of all, things that don't even have a right answer. And second of all, look at the bigger picture here, guys. Like you're bickering about how to rank an affiliate website to sell Amazon products when Amazon's destroying the planet. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
100%. Yeah. And and we see this a lot in SEO specifically, where people get on their high horse. Well, that's against Google's terms and guidelines. And I'm like, when did we start following their rules? Like, let's just be super clear what SEO is. Google is a piece of evil company, to the point that they literally pulled the phrase "do not be evil" out of their mission statement and their vision. Like it used to be in there, they took it out because it was too contradictory. Like there's a reason. I read this article not too long ago, but the Department of Justice filed some antitrust stuff, and like this, their filing is inevitable. The Department of Justice in the United States is going to pursue antitrust against Google. They're going to do it against Meta. They're going to do it against all these companies. Like these are not good companies. When you look under the hood of what they've done and how they've grown and the way they suppress competitors and all these other things, they're not good companies. Yeah. And for us to be like, well, they said what's his name said on Twitter, don't do link building. So now all of a sudden we think it's an ethical thing. It's not an ethical thing. We're gaming an an algorithm of a pretty inherently evil company, I think it's all right. Like, I think we should be a little more agnostic is usually the word I use to describe it. Like, I'm agnostic about this stuff. If you want to beg for backlinks or buy them or whatever, I don't care. If it works, it works. I don't have any ethical judgment over something that silly. If we want to have an ethical discussion, we have to talk about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's actual ethics. Google's terms and guidelines are not morals.
Yeah.